Hello, this is Gabrielle's English Diary, day 15. Today we're going to talk about a special Chuseok with loved ones. 와, 사랑하는 사람들과 특별한 추석. 이거 벌써 따뜻한 느낌이 나죠? Sentence number 1. 오늘은 남편의 가족과 함께 추석을 보내기 위해 양산으로 향한 날이었다. 어디 향하면 our Korean learners often say went. So, today was the day we went to Yangsan to spend Chuseok with my husband's family. 근데 여기는 좀 더 좋은 네이티브한 표현이 있는데 뭘까요? 바로 headed to. Today was the day we headed to Yangsan to spend Chuseok with my husband's family. Went to and headed to. Went to just means go, 그냥 갔다. 근데 headed to is a very common phrase in casual spoken English. Oh, where are you going? I'm heading to my grandparents' house right now. Hey, let's head to Gyeongju. Very common. Right? Let's say this one more time together. Today was the day we headed to Yangsan to spend Chuseok with my husband's family. Now, sentence number 2. 영어로는 추석을 보통 한국의 추수감사절이라고 부르지만 사실 미국의 추수감사절과는 꽤 다르다. 자, 여기 있는 우리 스터디언에 we have another teacher, 김재유 쌤 있잖아요. 와, he's an amazing teacher. If you've studied with him, you probably know this phrase. Chuseok is usually called Korean Thanksgiving in English, but it is quite different from American Thanksgiving. Quite is actually a very good phrase to know and very common for native speakers. If we want to add a little bit more like a native here and combine that 사실 feeling, we can add actually. In English, Chuseok is often called Korean Thanksgiving, but it's actually quite different from Thanksgiving in the US. Now, let's look at the other differences. Chuseok is usually called Thanksgiving in English. 보다는 we usually put in English first. This helps with understanding and flow. Here, Thanksgiving in the US versus American Thanksgiving. Now, America, we have North America and South America, right? So American Thanksgiving 약간 예매하고 이렇게 잘 안 써요. 그래서 그냥 Thanksgiving in the US 이렇게 자주 씁니다. So one more time all together. In English, Chuseok is often called Korean Thanksgiving, but it's actually quite different from Thanksgiving in the US. Number 3. 나의 고향에서는 보통 함께 식사하고 이야기하는 정도지만 한국에서는 가족들이 모여 조상님을 기리는 전통 의식을 함께 치른다. In my hometown, we usually eat and talk together. But in Korea, families gather to do traditional ancestral rites, is what we hear from our Korean learners. Now, 고향에서는 고향이 바로 뭐예요? hometown. So, in my hometown, 한국 학습자들은 자주 얘기합니다. 근데 native speakers, in a casual and more spoken way, often say back home. Back home, we usually just eat together and catch up. But in Korea, families also gather to honor their ancestors through traditional ceremonies. Now, 고향에서는 in my hometown보다는 back home gives a more natural tone for speaking English. Now, here, we usually eat and talk together. What is talk? Just 이야기하다, right? But if you haven't met in a long time, 밀린 얘기를 많이 있겠죠? 그럼 talk보다는 catch up도 올립니다. Hey, let's meet for lunch and catch up. 이거 진짜 잘 쓰는 부동사 표현입니다. Catch up. Oh, let's catch up. Then in Korea, here, to do traditional ancestral rites. 이거는 너무 딱딱하게 들리니까 따뜻한 느낌이 없어요. But in this phrase, honor their ancestors through traditional ceremonies. Honoring our ancestors. We're being respectful. 이거 따뜻한 느낌도 들고 더 존중하는 느낌이에요. Honor their ancestors through traditional ceremonies. Then, shadowing together. Back home, we usually just eat together and catch up. But in Korea, families also gather to honor their ancestors through traditional ceremonies. Number 4. 우리는 오전 11시쯤 출발했다. 저녁 식사는 5시였지만 먼 길을 가야 했기 때문이다. Our Korean learners say, we left around 11 a.m. because dinner was at 5, but we had to go far away. Here, we left, 출발했다. left보다는 뭐가 좋을까요? We hit the road around 11 a.m. Dinner wasn't until 5, but we had a long drive ahead. Here, left이랑 hit the road 어떻게 다를까요? We're starting a journey. 뭔가 출발하자. 이제 가자. Casual and very friendly spoken phrase. Let's hit the road. We hit the road around 11 a.m. We started our journey. Dinner wasn't until 5. Here we say dinner was at 5. This simply says dinner was at 5, so we had to go. 근데 여기는 dinner wasn't until 5. 뭔가 여유 있는 느낌을 줍니다. We had to go far away. 뭔가 어색하게 들립니다. There's no grammar error here, but it sounds strange, especially in this context. 약간 아이 같은 말투예요. 예를 들면, Daddy, don't go too far away. That's how I hear this phrase a little bit. But instead, we had a long drive ahead. Tells you that we have that long drive and we can feel the emotion in that phrase. So let's say it one more time together. We hit the road around 11 a.m. Dinner wasn't until 5, but we had a long drive ahead. This phrase is also common when you're at work or you have something big planned for the day. You might say, we have a long day ahead. Let's get started. Very common as well. Okay, next, number 5. 커피 한 잔 정말 마시고 싶어. 가는 길에 휴게소에서 사도 될까? 내가 남편에게 물었다. I really want to drink some coffee. Can we buy one at a restaurant? I asked my husband. 이거는 그대로 직역하는 느낌이에요. Instead, I could really use a cup of coffee. Here, I really want to drink some coffee. I could really use a cup of coffee. You can feel the difference already, right? Can we grab one at a rest area on the way? I asked my husband. I really want to drink some coffee. 정말 커피를 마시고 싶어. 근데 여기는 I could really use a cup of coffee. 약간 부탁하는 느낌 같이 들어요. We're telling someone that we need that, but we're softening it so it's not quite as direct. I really want to drink some coffee is very direct, but I could really use a cup of coffee. 약간 푹신푹신하고 very good for speaking, especially if we're talking to someone else. It sounds much less bossy. Now, in the second part, can we buy one at a rest stop? Now, buy one is 사다, right? But here, a very common phrase used with coffee or food is grab. 뭔가 가는 길에 사다, grab one. Can we grab one at a rest area on the way? Grab one on the way. Here, rest stop and rest area are both commonly used phrases. You will see rest area probably more on signs in the USA. But did you know that the rest areas in Korea and the rest areas in America are totally different? In the USA, rest areas are usually just like literally a bathroom or a restroom and then vending machines. And then that's it. Nothing else. Maybe a little park where you can walk around. But in Korea, wow, rest areas are full of these amazing food and different stores and cafes, and you can buy almost anything there, and there's a park and different places you can go. The first time I went to a Korean rest area, I was just amazed, and I totally understood why there's so many people there enjoying it. It makes road trips so much more fun. So I love Korean rest areas. Now, let's say this one more time together. I could really use a cup of coffee. Can we grab one at a rest area on the way? I asked my husband. Now, number 6. 그럼 자기야. 문제 없어. 곧 휴게소 나오니까 들리면 돼. Sure, honey. No problem. There'll be a rest stop soon, so we can go there. Sure, honey. No problem. There's a rest area coming up. We can stop by. Now, let's look at the two differences here. There will be a rest stop. We talked about rest stop and rest area. So that's our difference here. Rest area is a little more common on signage, but both are okay. Now, there's a 땡땡 coming up is very common in this kind of driving situation. Oh, there's a restaurant coming up. There's a cafe coming up. Do you want to stop for a coffee? This coming up is very, very common and very used in this situation. Now, there will be a rest stop soon, so we can go there. 약간 딱딱하게 들려요. It sounds like it's been translated. 직역적인 느낌이 들어요. So it's a little bit awkward. Instead, this and then ending it with stop by. Now, we studied stop by in previous classes, but do you remember? 잠깐 들르다. We can stop by. This is much more common in this situation instead of go there. We can stop by. Sure, honey, no problem. There's a rest area coming up. We can stop by. 우리가 도착하자마자 모든 것이 순조롭게 진행되었다. As soon as we arrived, everything went well. And then our native speakers, once we arrived, everything went smoothly. Now, 여기는 as soon as 있잖아요. As soon as is always comes up when we say 하자마자. But here we have once we arrived. 뭐 하자마자 as soon as 하면은 뭔가 이벤트 나올 것 같은 느낌이 들어요. 뭐 as soon as we arrived, I saw my dad. Or as soon as we arrived, something happened. But here we're just saying smooth하게 뭐 everything went smoothly. So 여기는 조금 잘 안 어울려요. Instead, once we arrived, everything went smoothly. 도착하자마자 모든 것은 이제는 everything went smoothly. Now, well 보다는 smoothly 여기는 또 잘 어울립니다. This is because well focuses on the results. Oh, the party went well. Oh, that went pretty well. But smoothly focuses on the process. So, well is about the results and smoothly is more about the process. So here we're talking about the process of Chuseok, kind of doing everything together. So went smoothly is better. So once we arrived, everything went smoothly. 우리는 다 같이 주방에서 요리를 준비했고 그런 후에 함께 웃고 이야기하며 저녁 시간을 보냈다. We all prepared food together in the kitchen and then we had dinner while talking and laughing. Here, 주방에서 요리를 준비했고 준비하다 하면은 보통 prepared 나와요. Especially here, prepared food because we're talking about 요리를 준비했다. But if we want to focus more on being together, this kind of together, 다 같이 뭐 일하는 느낌, 더 좋은 표현이 있어요. Here, 그냥 we all worked together in the kitchen, then spent the evening laughing and talking. 여기는 굳이 food 안 넣어도 돼요. 왜냐면은 in the kitchen is already there. So it's already implied that we're making food. I mean, what else are you going to do in the kitchen? It's probably going to be about food, right? So, instead, we all worked together in the kitchen. 다 함께, 같이, 따뜻한 느낌도 들고 we all worked together in the kitchen. Then spent the evening laughing and talking. Now, we had dinner while talking and laughing means 저녁 식사하면서 talking and laughing. So it means literally as we're eating. Nyam, nyam, wow, which grammatically makes sense, but this phrase means spend the evening laughing and talking. 뭐 저녁 식사하고 또 다음에 그냥 얘기하고 뭐 디저트 먹고 뭐 다른 것도 하고 게임도 하고 we spent the evening laughing and talking. 그래서 이 표현은 훨씬 더 잘 어울려요. This spent the evening 땡땡땡땡 is very common. So this is a great phrase to memorize. Next, number 9. 이렇게 멋진 가족이 있다는 게 정말 행운이라고 느낀다. I feel so lucky to have a great family like this. And our native speakers say, I feel so lucky to have such an amazing family. I feel so lucky to have a great family like this. A great family like this. 멋진 가족이 생각하면은 a great family 나올 수도 있어요. But here it's a little bit awkward. We don't usually say a great family like this. It's not commonly used together. So it sounds like 뭔가 doesn't sound like a native speaker. Instead, I feel so lucky to have such an amazing family. Amazing family, amazing thing. This usually comes out together. So it's kind of a collocation, do you remember? The flowers of English. Now, I feel so lucky to have such amazing students like you. We're emphasizing how lucky we feel and we're putting more emotion into that phrase. So that's why here, amazing is a little bit better than great. So let's say it together. I feel so lucky to have such an amazing family. Number 10. 나는 추석을 경험하며 잘하지 않았지만 이제는 내 삶의 특별한 일부가 되었다. Our Korean learners say, I didn't experience Chuseok when I was young, but now it's a special part of my life. 여기는 경험하며 나왔잖아요. 경험하면 experience 자주 나오는데 experience 뭔가 따뜻한 느낌이 없어요. If we want to add that warm feeling in English, we're talking about a family story and this is our last sentence. So we want to end it with that warm, 따뜻하고 감정 있는 느낌. Then, I may not have grown up with Chuseok, but it's become a special part of my life. Here, I didn't is just 딱딱. I didn't. 근데 I may not have. 더 부드러운 느낌이 있어요. I may not have grown up with Chuseok. Grown up with. This is a very common phrase when we're talking about something that we did when we were young or some kind of like tradition like this. Like I grew up with Christmas being a very big holiday when I was young. So I was a little bit surprised when I came to Korea and it wasn't that big of a holiday. So many people in Korea haven't grown up with Christmas being as big of a holiday as I'm used to it being. So this kind of, when we're used to a tradition or something when we're young, we can use this phrase. Grown up with Chuseok. I may not have grown up with Chuseok, but it's become a special part of my life. But now it's a special part of my life. 이거 둘 다 괜찮은데 become just means it's 뭔가 되었다. 이거 특별한 거 되었다. But now it's a special part of my life is just 지금은 it's a special part of my life. So we're showing that process a little bit more with become. So that process of it becoming an amazing holiday and a big part of my life, 이 과정이 뭔가 뉘앙스를 넣고 싶으면 using become is better here. So I may not have grown up with Chuseok, but it's become a special part of my life. All right, that's all for our first class today, and I will see you guys when we dive a little bit deeper in our reading points. Bye-bye!
Day 15. A special Chuseok with loved ones. Today was the day we headed to Yangsan to spend Chuseok with my husband's family. In English, Chuseok is often called Korean Thanksgiving, but it's actually quite different from Thanksgiving in the US. Back home, we usually just eat together and catch up, but in Korea, families also gather to honor their ancestors through traditional ceremonies. We hit the road around 11 a.m. Dinner wasn't until 5, but we had a long drive ahead. I could really use a cup of coffee. Can we grab one at a rest area on the way? I asked my husband. Sure, honey, no problem. There's a rest area coming up. We can stop by. Once we arrived, everything went smoothly. We all worked together in the kitchen, then spent the evening laughing and talking. I feel so lucky to have such an amazing family. I may not have grown up with Chuseok, but it's become a special part of my life.
Usually quickly or briefly, and this is neutral tone. So it can be formal and it can be informal. Now, I hear a lot of mistakes with favorite because it's a really common word that almost all English students know.